If you dig around on the internet long enough, you'll find some really cool fishing stories, and I've been seeing some stories about a fishing guide in northeast Texas, just outside Texarkana, who's been catching some huge white bass on a lake I've never seen before. That all changes in the next half hour. Let's go fishing. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now. That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southeast region every week.
Oh my gosh.
This is Let's Fish.
Hi everybody, and welcome into Let's Fish TV for this week. We are coming to you today from yet another location that I've never seen before, but we're gonna go catch them anyway. This is Wright Patman Reservoir. It is located right near where 4 states come together: Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, just outside the city of Texarkana, Texas. It's got several species of fish in it, but this week we're going after big white bass. I've been hearing stories about some giant whites that swim in this lake, and I want to catch some of them and give you an update on what the white bass are going to be doing right through the upcoming warm weather months. While I'm out doing that, we're taking you around your local region for this week's fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters from fishing destinations right where you live, both freshwater and saltwater, just outside your back door. And going to be fishing today out of the Blazer 650 Pro Tour fishing boat. It's a high, dry, stable riding boat in rough water or calm water. It handles really well. It's rigged out with my Mercury Pro XS 250, my Motor Guide Tour Pro trolling motor, and my Lowrance HDS live fish finders. So we're going to get this rig out in Wright Patman Reservoir, do some scouting around, see what we can find. Next time you see me, I'll be out there. Right now, let's get things started back at the studio and your weekend planner.
Hi there, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us as we remember and honor our heroes this Memorial Day weekend. These Salooner tables are predicting fair game fish activity Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Look for peak game fish activity to begin before the sunrise at 3:44 on Saturday, 4:41 Sunday morning, and 5:30 on Monday morning. Best daytime action will begin at 4:09 on Saturday, 5:06 on Sunday, and 5:55 Monday afternoon. Depending on your area, expect the sun to rise around 6:21 and set around 8:29. This weekend will display a moon that is 83% visible. Stick around because we've got fishing reports from across the area on the way. Plus, the one and only Mike Iaconelli will be here when we return to answer this week's Ask the Pro question. Stay with us.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury. Go boldly. Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Get our free fishing guide at orangebeach.com. Motor Guides Tour Pro with GPS anchor. The tour is back. Blazer, high-performance boats for high-performance anglers.
There's what we came for to Wright Patman Lake in far northeast Texas. That is a big old white bass. Wow, it is rough out here right now. Trolling motor's coming out of the water, and there's a fish right out there in the waves. Oh my gosh, that's a hard pull. What have I got? Be one of these famous big old Wright Patman white bass. Let's see what we got. Here he comes up. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Uh-oh. There we go. Look at that. Hey, welcome back everybody. We've made it out and the wind is kicking up, man. But there's what we came for to Wright Patman Lake in far northeast Texas. That is a big old white bass. Hey, we heard about these big ones. My buddy Brooks Tarkington, who guides on this lake, told me there's some whoppers in here. He's the guy that I was telling you about, and back that one goes. We're not keeping him today. Well, we're just drifting across main lake points to start with, and we've got a good start. Let me give you a little information about Wright Patman Lake if you've never seen it or even heard of it. It was built in 1953. It was actually originally called Lake Texarkana in 1973. It was changed to the name of Wright Patman, which was a U.S. congressman at the time. The lake is about 20,000 surface acres. It's a fairly shallow lake. It's not muddy, what I would call, but it's definitely murky. So we're going to go with some specialty tactics that we're going to talk about here in just a couple of minutes. So we're off to a good start. I will tell you in just a couple of minutes what the white bass are doing, but they're done with their spawn. And what they're doing now, they're going to be doing for all the rest of the warm weather months. So you can come do this all the way until it gets cold.
Hey, welcome to this week's Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama Fishing Report. It's brought to you by Experience Paris. If you're like me and love to hunt, fish, boat, camp, hike, eat, but you also want to bring your family and have fun and do things together, come to Henry County, Paris, Tennessee, and experience all they have to offer. If I am in Mississippi, I'm going to Arca Butler. Not only is the bass fishing good, but the crappie fishing just really gets overshadowed by those Tunica area lakes, but it is world-class, top-notch, and flies a little under the radar. In Alabama, I am going to go to Guntersville this time of year. You can go out there and catch them on top around the grass. You can deep crank, which I love to do. You can catch them on a jig and a big worm. In Tennessee, one of the most fun things going on right now is Reelfoot Lake and bluegill. I love to go there. It's an awesome place, and my kids love it. And I'm telling you, go to Blue Bank Resort, get you a guide, have a great time. Guys, come back and see us next week. God bless you.
There's one. Oh, that's another hard pull. Another big one. Look here. Oh yeah. Get in my boat. Oh yeah, look at this white. Oh my. Well, that one, another one. I've got them working on this little crankbait. I'll show it to you later. Look at that. Look at that big dude. There's you a big Wright Patman white bass. Man, these things are big. Good grief. Back he goes. Well, let me give you a little bit of the pattern of what the white bass are doing right now and what they're going to be doing for quite a while. They spawn in the early part of the springtime, and they go up all the creeks and rivers, and they lay their eggs, the males fertilize them, and then they immediately go on a transition journey back to the main lake, which is where we are now. So we're right out on the main lake, and they'll get on any kind of bottom structure, which means a point, like this is a point right in front of us here. These trees right behind me, I'm using them to block this 30-mile-an-hour wind off right now. And I've just got my trolling motor locked down and I'm casting downwind. These fish will get out off main lake points, underwater humps, underwater islands, road beds, any kind of bottom structure. And they'll feed. They'll just use that structure to push shad up on and feed. So it's getting a little bit later in the afternoon right now, and these fish will push the bait fish, the shad, right up on that point and use it as a backstop to feed on. And they're gonna do this all summer long and right on into the fall. I made an important switch, and all of a sudden I'm just hammering them right and left. Let's put that fish back. There we go. There we go. All right, there's another one. Hey, let me tell you what I've discovered here. I discovered that fish flopped off. Let me grab him. There we go. I fished for a few hours and didn't catch any fish. I think I caught one. And I made an important switch, and all of a sudden I'm just hammering them right and left. Let's put that fish back. This is the size of the red-eye shad that I started throwing. It's a 1/2 ounce. And when I couldn't get bites and I kept seeing these fish on my fish finder that were suspended up higher in the water column, so I downsized. I went to this size. That's a quarter ounce. You can see the difference. Same bait, just a little smaller, a little lighter. And you know, size matters. Well, in this case, size matters for one important reason, the depth. I was fishing under the fish, and same spot, same area where all these fish are, but I was pulling my bait underneath them. They're feeding up on shad. The later it gets in the day, the more these fish are pushing up toward the surface, and they're only about 3 feet under the surface. So that half-ounce red eye shad was running about 6 or 7 feet under the surface. And I switched to this quarter ounce, and it's only running about 3 feet, and it's just getting bit almost every cast right now, fish after fish. So pay attention. When you see fish doing something, you've got to adjust your tactics to what the fish are doing. Otherwise, you know, a lot of times you're sitting there watching somebody and they're catching them and you're not. Pay attention, be flexible, make changes, adapt to what the fish are doing, and you'll catch a lot more of them. That little switch right there has paid off with big dividends for me today.
Red snapper season is open along the Gulf, and there's good fishing for cobia and spotted sea trout plus redfish. I'll be right back with all the fishing information plus a lot more, but first this from our good friends at Miralure. Miralure, building quality saltwater lures since 1937, included in the new line of Miradine plugs. Turn on the bite anytime, tie on a Miralure. Well, the popular Gulf Coast red snapper season is open in Alabama, and it gets underway shortly in Mississippi, runs into July in both states, and the fishing is slated to be outstanding. Lots of fish are being caught around reefs, public marked reefs with GPS numbers, and private reefs too that are wide open to public fishing. Also along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, there's some really good fish around the barrier islands for spotted sea trout. Some of these fish are going 2 to 4 pounds. Cobia fishing around the barrier islands also has been good, and also around some of the oil rigs in Alabama. These fish are going 20 to 40 pounds. In Georgia, inshore red fishing has been very good in the creek areas around shell bars and flooded brushy areas. Offshore, the shark fishing is outstanding behind shrimp trawlers. Lots of fish going 100 pounds, but you got to watch the weather. Well, that's it for the fishing on the southeast coast. Get out of the water and take a youngster with you when you go.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Power Pole, total boat control. Visit Mississippi. Good times are close by. Low Boats, 50 years of boating craftsmanship. Balls Out, made in the USA. Heavy duty mounts for your fish finders.
Oh my, that's a big pull. Look at him pull that rod down. Another big one. God, look at the size of these whites. God. There he is, right at the boat. Oh my, that's a big pull. Look at him pull that rod down. Another big one. God, look at the size of these whites. Golly, I can hardly boat flop them in here. Oh man, look at this. Welcome back, everybody. We are at Wright Patman Lake in the northeastern corner of Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana, and I am locked onto some big, giant white bass. And let me tell you how I'm catching these fish. Let me see if I can get this fish loose first. Okay, I've about got it. There we go. Look at the size of that pig right there. Goodness, what a white bass. Man, they're huge. All right, back he goes. Let me tell you what I'm doing. Anytime I go to a new lake that I've never seen before, or even if it's a lake I'm familiar with, but I don't know where the fish are and I just want to find them, then I'll go with what I call a search bait. That'll be a lipless rattling crankbait in this case, like a Strike King red eye shad. I'll show it to you at the end of the show. Or a small crankbait like a square bill or a little shallow diving crankbait that'll go 3 to 6 feet deep. And I'll just go to work casting, just fan casting. I'll hit all the points, all the little ledges, underwater humps, islands, and I'll just try to find a bite. If I ever catch one white bass, then I know there are others in the area because they're never alone. So sometimes I'll even troll. I'll even get my big engine, and throw a couple of them out behind the boat and just zigzag back and forth across the likely areas where I think the fish are. In this case, main lake points in the warm weather months. And again, once I catch one, I'll circle back around, lock my anchor lock on my Tour Pro Motor Guide trolling motor down, and just go to work on them in an area, and you can hammer them one right after the next.
Hey y'all, it's time for your Carolinas Report, this week brought to you by Crazy Sister Marina. Hey, my good partners over at Crazy Sister want to make you have a wonderful time when you're in town, and they got every way to possibly make you live like a local. You want to get out and go enjoy an eco tour. You want to go see the dolphins. You want to go do a kayak. You want to do a boat, you can do it yourself and get out and go fishing, or our private charter boats work wonderfully as well. We've got it all. If you'll visit crazysistermarina.com, you can find something that you want to do on the water when you're in town. And let's continue on the saltwater side of things. Spade fish this time of the year start to showing up. This end of May, end of June, you're going to start seeing a lot of the cannonball jellyfish, and that means those spade fish are starting to show up. Get right on top of the reef. If you're not able to get any jellyfish, make sure you get plenty of squid and have small shrimp with you. Shrimp are a great bait to get out there. You're going to chum the water with them. Unfortunately, it floats away from the boat, but I promise you'll still get some action. But squid is a wonderful secondary bait. Also, remember, grouper season's opened up and we're seeing some real big catches. Make sure you got live pinfish in the boat when you're heading offshore, and you're going to bring some big grouper home as well. This has been your Carolinas Report, brought to you by Crazy Sister Marina. Remember, fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
I want to just try to prove a little point here. I'm just going to pitch this right out in front, let it go to the bottom. Hop it up and down a few times. And he got it, just like that. We are still out here hammering these big old giant white bass. Oh man, look at the size of that one. Wow. Wanted to show you what you can do. Let's talk about kids fishing for a minute. There is nothing more fun than getting kids into a school of these white bass, because they're always catching something. They can be the easiest fish in freshwater to catch, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show. And that is a huge one right there. That fish, he probably won't quite hit 3 pounds, although he might. There's not many 3-pound white bass around, and that one will get really close to it. These fish are giants. Let that one go back. But I wanted to prove something. So you can take kids fishing if they can cast successfully, even with a little spin cast reel and a kid's pole. Then they can catch these fish if you put this little lipless rattling crankbait on there. But if they can't cast, you can simply just pitch it out there and jig it up and down off the bottom. You can put a spoon on there, like a 3/4 ounce jigging spoon, or even this little lipless crankbait. You can just let it go to the bottom and then just start hopping it up and down off the bottom. And that's exactly what I was doing, and I did it just to try to prove that you can take a kid fishing, and even if they can't cast, if you can just tell them, drop it over the side of the boat and hop it up and down a few times, they can successfully catch white bass, especially if you find them and get in a school. And it is some of the most fun if you'll take a kid out and do this.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lose. Feel the difference. Waypoint Customs. Customize your boat your way. Strike King. Tie one on. Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Fishing Specialties. Makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's get right to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Dalton wants to know, do you have any tips on keeping knots out of my spinning reel? To get the answer, we checked with multi-award winning Major League angler Mike Iaconelli.
The first one is when you're actually spooling the line on. On a filler spool, most of them are just little round 300-yard spools. You always want the line coming off of that filler spool, coming off counterclockwise. because the spinning reel puts the line on clockwise. That's the first thing you want to do. Second thing is, I'm a big fan of some sort of silicone or line conditioner, and I'll spray that on a cloth, and as I'm bringing that line in, I let it run through that line conditioner. It takes a lot of the memory off of that.
Thanks so much, Mike, for that information. If you want some help too from one of the pros, simply go to letsfishtv.com and follow that Ask the Pro link to submit your own question. Now it's time to find out who wins this week's Big Catch of the Week.
We are out of all that wind and back on the trailer here at Wright Patman Lake near Texarkana, and it's time right now for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. He's Rob Miskowski of Ocean Springs, Mississippi, with a 41-inch redfish he caught off Pascagoula, Mississippi. If you'd like to have a chance to be our next winner, just go to our website at letsfishtv.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage and click on the Big Catch of the Week area and follow the instructions to enter. You might have you and your big fish shown on our show.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Next up on the Academy Right Stuff, it's the right gear to go out and catch these big white bass like we caught on this week's episode. It begins with the Lew's KVD Rod and Reel Series, specifically designed by Kevin Van Dam. There are something like 18 or 19 specific rod and reel setups. This particular one is the all-purpose reaction rod that I was using. What I really like about it is they've specially designed these rod guides to withstand all the modern braided lines and all the wear that they put on those. The reel and the rod are both the Midnight Fire red color, kind of a maroon color, easily recognizable in your retail store. And as far as the bait was concerned, the one that did all the damage was the Strike King Red Eye Shad. You can see this is the little smallest size. The chartreuse color in this murky off-colored water did the trick. One of my favorite pastors to listen to is Greg Laurie. We sometimes attend one of the churches he preaches at when we're on vacation in Hawaii. One of his favorite sayings is, believe your beliefs and doubt your doubts. People, in a lot of ways, we live in a messed up culture in this world. It's a culture that's trying to tell you that right is wrong and wrong is right. But believe this, no matter who says it or how many times they say it, that is not the truth. As a matter of fact, most likely you know what the truth is. You know right from wrong. So if just enough people like us will stand firm on those beliefs, the things that we know are right, in spite of what the media or anybody else is trying to tell you, we just might have a little impact on the corner of the culture we live in. Before we get out of here, I do want to give you the contact information for the guide that helped put us on these giant white bass here at Wright Patman Lake near Texarkana. His name is Brooks Tarkenton. He does a great job here. He stays on these fish. And if you would like to book him for your own guide trip and catch some of these whites of your very own, you can contact him either at the Facebook page on your screen or at the telephone number also on your screen. From Wright Patman Lake, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes saying, let's fish, everybody. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.